When I was 13, my dad bought an old ham radio from a yard sale. He said it reminded him of the one his father used during his time in the Navy. It looked ancient, a black metal box with a cracked dial, knobs that stuck when you turned them, and a faint smell of dust and ozone. He set it up in the garage. Sometimes, late at night, I'd hear it humming softly, like it was breathing. Dad told me it didn't work properly anymore, but every so often, he'd sit out there for hours, just turning the dial, listening to static. One night, I woke up to the sound of voices. Faint, low, and distorted. I thought he was watching TV, but when I looked out my window, the garage light was on, and I saw my dad, sitting completely still in front of the radio, the speaker glowing faintly red. I crept closer. The door was open just a crack. The voice coming from the radio wasn't English. It was slower, drawn out, almost like someone trying to sound human. Then, suddenly, it switched. Clear as day, a man's voice said, "Daniel, don't turn around. My name is Daniel." I froze. I thought it was a prank, maybe some broadcast picking up on a local signal. But my dad didn't react. He just sat there, staring ahead, his hand trembling on the dial. Then the voice spoke again. "Daniel, I told you not to look." I ran. I didn't tell my parents what happened. I barely slept that night. The next morning, the garage was empty, the radio gone, the workbench wiped clean. When I asked my dad about it, he just said, it stopped working. But after that night, he changed. He started sleeping less. He'd stare at the walls during dinner, like he was waiting for something. A few weeks later, I came home from school and found him sitting in the driveway, engine running, just staring into the rearview mirror. When I opened the car door, he jumped like he'd been shocked. He said he'd heard someone on the radio again, a man who knew things. When I asked what he meant, he just muttered, "He remembers you." That night, I woke up again to the hum. The radio was back. This time, I didn't go to the garage. I just listened through my window. It was the same static, low, whispering, but underneath it, I heard my name. Over and over, slow and deliberate, like the voice was searching for me through the noise. "Daniel, come back." I didn't sleep for days after that. I started avoiding the garage completely. Then one evening, Dad didn't come home. Mom called everyone, the police, his friends, even the hospital. Nobody had seen him. 3 days later, I was walking home from school when I heard it again. That faint, fuzzy voice drifting through the static of a neighbor's baby monitor. "Daniel." I froze. The house was empty. The lights were off. The voice grew louder, almost impatient. "Daniel, tune in." That night, I finally worked up the courage to check the garage again. The radio was there, sitting on the workbench like it had never left. Its red light blinked steadily, even though it wasn't plugged in. I reached for the dial. It was ice cold. The second I touched it, the static stopped. The voice came through, quiet but clear. "Daniel, it's your father. I found him." I don't remember dropping the radio, but when I came to, Mom was shaking me awake on the garage floor. The power had gone out. We moved 2 months later. Mom sold everything that was left in the house, except the radio. She said no one wanted it. It stayed boxed up in the attic for years. I tried to forget. Then, last week, my phone picked up a strange AM signal during a storm. A faint buzz at first. Then, buried in the static, that same voice, now older, slower, rasping through the interference. "Daniel, we still have one more frequency to find."